Good evening. Can you hear me back there? This is about right. Okay, Vince told me to keep it short. You put me in front of the mic, I want me to keep it short. Mic's not on. Okay. Test 1, 2, test. There will be a test after this. All right, I'm here to introduce Larry McFarland. Larry became an SNOA official in 2000. He came to us from Florida. And I asked him, how long have you been doing this? I know you're new to us, but you've been doing it for a long time. And when he mentioned after Doubleday, I knew that Larry had been doing it for quite a long time. He started here in 2000, and in 2016, he hung up his umpire gear. Larry is being recognized tonight not only for his many years of service on the field, but for his dedication to the SNOA and the NIAA off the field. So I want to mention just a couple things you may not know about Larry. And I think, are you going to come up and talk tonight, Larry?
I don't think so.
Okay, good. Then I'll take your time. All right. Larry retired as a college administrator for Broward College in Florida. Larry's postgraduate education took him to many states: Virginia, Mississippi, University of Georgia, where he received his doctorate. I had to mention Larry's administrative and educational background because it made him an excellent choice for the many things he did for us in softball. Larry is one of the original members of the SNOA Ethics Committee that was formed in 2008. That Ethics Committee, as you know, allows you to grieve any type of charges that may be against you as an official. Today this committee is named the SNOA Appeals Committee. Larry represented that sport for the sport of softball in that committee until 2013. Larry was also an original member of the SNOA Scholarship Committee, formed in 2009. This committee reviewed applications for the Board of Control for the scholarships they gave away for graduating seniors. Larry sat on this committee through 2012. Larry also served on the All Sports Board and the SNOA Softball Board. Those of you who don't know softball, we don't use a clock in our game. So we would be stuck doing these lopsided contests for 2.5 hours sometimes, because the only thing that stops a lopsided ball game in softball or baseball is an inning. And you had to get 5 of those in. Scores 30-1, 28-0, exciting ball games. Well, we kind of voiced our opinion to the board at the time, and we thought, well, Larry said, you know what, I'm going to make a proposal that they put in a 3rd inning rule for high school softball. So those of you that work a ball game and get done in an hour or a little over that instead of 2.5 hours can thank Larry for the 3 inning rule we now have of 15 runs. If the game's 15-run difference in 3 innings, we're done. And there's a lot of that goes on. All right, let's see what else I can say good about Larry. Good. Larry has always taken an interest in the rules. One time Larry was reading the Referee magazine, and the rule reference was wrong. So if you know Larry, he immediately wrote a letter to Referee magazine pointing out this wrong rule interpretation. They appreciated his advice and asked him to serve as an editor and reviewer for Referee magazine for, I don't know how many years. 3 years. That's a long time. Every month he would get an edition prior to his publication to go through it and edit it. I mean, what a thing. I don't know how much time that took Larry, but we're talking about things he did off the field. Thank you, Larry, for your dedication to your rules. That he was a great asset to me as I'm the Southern Nevada Officials Association instructional chair. Larry and I have spent hours reviewing the rule book, the tests, mechanics, going through it to make sure we're prepared for meetings. He assisted me in training. I'll always respect Larry for that. Now, I remember watching Larry's last softball game. We had the state championships here in Vegas, and Larry was working the championship games. And the guy was getting to all the spots he was supposed to be at. If you don't know Larry, that was about 3 years ago, and he's no spring chicken. I respected Larry because he led by example. If you work with Larry or watch Larry, you learn. I I mean, how important is that for a master official to work in front of the apprentice and junior officials to make them better? Larry, you always led by example. I appreciate that. In closing, I think I speak for all the umpires when I say our best memories are not of the big game and the big calls we had in our career. Our best memories are the friends we made along the way. Larry, you are a true friend, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce you. And you joined two other SNOA softball umpires as honorary members, Jim Likens and Bill Evans. Thank you very much, Larry. Come on up.
Upside down?
It's upside
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Larry McFarland, and I totally agree with the preceding message. Oh, wait, that was last week. I'm sorry. I started doing this in 1959 in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, as an individual who wasn't yet 17 years of age, and I started umpiring adult beer league. Now, I couldn't drink the stuff, but I could umpire, and I learned a lot that first session in doing beer leagues. But I went from there, as Tom said, to Mississippi, then to Georgia, then back to Mississippi, then to Virginia, then to Florida, and then to Nevada. People said, Larry, that's a lot of stops. It is, but if you don't pay your bills and you got a wide strike zone, you move frequently. Now, most of the sports have a leadership hierarchy, crew chiefs and so on and so forth. In softball, we have UICs, umpires in chief. And if you can keep the same UICs for a long time, you're bound to do well. Well, I've had a WIC, a wife in charge. And for 51 years and 50 weeks. You knew I wouldn't forget. I've had the greatest crew chief you can have, my wife Jeannie, who all you people in softball know. She's been to more rain-out games than some of you have called. But I couldn't have done it without her. Most of the people who influenced me and my biggest supporters have left this world. But the SNOA Softball Committee, the All Sports Board, the Board of Control, they all were very, very good to me, and I thank all of them. Now, I'm not going to talk anymore about me, but I want to spend a couple of seconds on the SNOA. Because what I want to do is challenge the SNOA to become the greatest, the best officials association in the country. And I want to see other associations come to Las Vegas, come to the SNOA, because we do things well here. For example, it wasn't too long ago, all of us went to a meeting on a Sunday night to get our paychecks. They were handed out to us at the meeting. We got our schedule for the next 2 weeks. Suddenly, we have arbiter. And arbiter, thanks to Sheila, and I learned a long time ago, Sheila taught me that you can fool with a guy's wife, you can fool with a guy's dog, but don't fool with his paycheck. And Sheila makes sure that your paycheck is right. And Sheila, you should be congratulated. But I want you to be the best. I would like to see a gigantic picture of the SNOA officials in uniform. I would like to see individual sports officials in uniform with pictures that you can send to Grandma and Grandpa and Aunt Tilly back home. You know and I know that new technology is coming. When did you think you would see instant replay in all the major sports? When did you think you would see the 7th game of a World Series with instant replay, and the instant replay was right and the doggone official was wrong? The new technology is coming. Be part of it. And finally, I want to say 2 last things. I had dreams one time of taking all the tests that I've taken, all the books that I have, all the magazines that I have, and putting them someplace in a school for a library where officials could go and do some research. You can do that now on the internet. It just tells you how old I am. But finally, the last thing I want to ask you to do. I got a granddaughter who goes to Duke University. The tuition and room and board at Duke University is $70,000 a year. My granddaughter is going to Duke University partly because of umpiring softball. Because what I would like to see SNOA sponsor for all of you officials is to get somebody in here to talk to you about tax shelters. You can take 2 games a month. 2 games, $100 a month. Sheila will not take out taxes on those 2 games. You put it into a tax shelter. You leave it there. In 10 years, you will have about $17,000. You can then begin to withdraw that money when you retire. I don't sell them. I just know what they can do for you. I would like to see the board look into getting tax shelters for you officials. With that, I've overstated my time. I've overstated my welcome. And I thank you very much for this award and this honor. It is truly, truly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry.